Place this note under your pillow, wake up to money. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to magnetize money effortlessly, while others chase it endlessly? The secret isn't luck, labor, or chance. It's consciousness. The wealth you experience on the outside is a reflection of the riches you believe in on the inside. Tonight, I invite you into a sacred experiment, one that doesn't require effort, strategy, or struggle, but simple faith in the unseen. Take a small note, write upon it the words that represent your deepest financial desire. I am wealthy. Money flows to me easily. I am provided for. Place that note under your pillow and rest, not as a dreamer hoping for change, but as one who knows change has already occurred. This is not a superstition, it is a symbolic act of spiritual alignment. When you sleep, you step into the most creative state of consciousness, the realm where thoughts are seeds and feelings become form. As you drift between wakefulness and sleep, the veil between what is imagined and what is real dissolves. In that sacred in-between, your subconscious accepts what your conscious mind has impressed upon it. And when morning comes, you do not wake to a new day. You wake to a new reality, a reality sculpted by your inner certainty, by your quiet faith, and by the note under your pillow, the note that whispered to your soul all night long. You are already wealthy. The invisible creates the visible. Everything that you see, touch, and experience in your outer world is nothing but the crystallization of the invisible world within you. Every coin in your hand, every note in your pocket, every opportunity that crosses your path first existed as an unseen vibration, a thought, a belief, a quiet assumption held within the secret chambers of your mind. The invisible is the womb of the visible. It is the source from which all form flows. When you look at your life and see the evidence of lack, it is easy to believe that reality is hard and unchangeable, that circumstances have power over you. But that is the illusion. The truth is, every visible circumstance is a reflection of an invisible cause, your inner state of consciousness. The outer world is a mirror, obedient and neutral, faithfully reflecting what you persist in feeling and imagining to be true. So, when we say, place this note under your pillow and wake up to money, it is not a call to superstition, but to understanding the mysterious law of creation. The note under the pillow is a symbol, a reminder that everything begins within. When you write upon it words like, I am wealthy, or money flows to me easily, you are not just scribbling wishes, you are planting seeds into the soil of your subconscious. That note becomes an anchor to hold your awareness in the feeling of abundance. You are not commanding paper to bring you prosperity. You are instructing your own mind to accept prosperity as already yours. The moment you truly believe in the unseen reality of your desire, it begins to take form in the physical world. The invisible is not far away or mystical. It is the realm of thought, emotion, and imagination that you move through every second. Every inner image you hold, every word you repeat to yourself, is a vibration that calls forth its likeness in matter. If you dwell in thoughts of scarcity, you invite scarcity to express itself. But if you dwell in the assumption that you are already abundant, life reorganizes itself to make that assumption visible. You are the artist, and imagination is your brush. The world is your canvas. Whatever picture you paint within, with feeling and conviction, must eventually appear before your eyes. Before you go to sleep, hold that note in your hand. Feel the texture of the paper, the weight of the words written on it. Know that this small act is not childish. It is deeply sacred. You are performing a living parable of creation. You are reminding yourself that the invisible thought precedes every visible form. As you place it beneath your pillow, whisper quietly to yourself, it is done. Not, it will be done. Not, I hope it happens, but it is done. In that moment, you shift from wishing to knowing, from hoping to possessing. And that shift, that invisible movement in consciousness, is the true creation. When you close your eyes, your body sleeps, but your consciousness continues to create. Your mind, free from the distractions of the waking world, moves through the fertile fields of imagination. Whatever you impress upon it before sleep takes root in the subconscious, and the subconscious never forgets. It never questions, never doubts. It simply expresses what has been impressed upon it. So if you sleep in the feeling of wealth, you will rise to circumstances that reflect wealth. If you sleep in the feeling of lack, you will wake to lack. The pillow becomes the altar, the note becomes the prayer, and your imagination becomes the power that answers it. You see, the world does not respond to effort. It responds to energy. You can toil endlessly in the outer world and still struggle if your inner world is filled with thoughts of lack. But one night of resting in the certainty of abundance can do more for you than a year of hard labor. Because it is not what you do that matters most, it is what you believe while you do it. Belief shapes the path. Belief attracts the opportunity. Belief rearranges the outer scene to reflect the inner conviction. The invisible creates the visible always. When you understand this, you stop fighting with circumstances. You stop complaining about what you see, and you begin to create what you want to see. You become the silent sculptor of your destiny. Each night becomes a sacred appointment with your imagination, a time to rewrite the story of your life from the inside out. You no longer wait for wealth to appear, you claim it as already present in the invisible realm and allow it to reveal itself in divine timing. So tonight, when you place that note under your pillow, let it not be a gesture of desperation but of certainty. Smile as you do it. Feel the warmth of gratitude as though you have already received your desire. Know that the unseen currents of life are already moving in your favor. Know that doors will open, opportunities will arise, and resources will flow, not because you begged for them, but because you believed they were already yours. The invisible power within you is infinite. It is creative. It is obedient to your imagination. Remember this truth: you are not here to chase wealth. You are here to awaken to it. You are not here to struggle with life. You are here to command it through consciousness. Every dollar, every opportunity, every expression of prosperity begins first as an invisible image within your mind. Guard that inner image. Protect it from doubt. Nurture it with feeling. And as surely as morning follows night, your invisible belief will harden into visible fact. So tonight, when you lay your head down, let the last words in your mind be, I already have everything I desire. Because once that idea takes root in the visible has no choice but to obey. The note under your pillow is not just a piece of paper. It is the doorway to a new reality. And when you wake up, you will not just wake up to another morning. You will wake up to money, to miracles, to the magnificent truth that the invisible within you has always been the source of every visible blessing. Feeling is the currency of creation. If thought is the blueprint of reality, then feeling is the power that brings it to life. You can speak affirmations all day, write intentions 1,000 times, or visualize endlessly, but until you feel the reality of your desire, nothing truly moves. Feeling is not an accessory to creation. It is the core. It is the emotional voltage that electrifies thought and impresses it upon the subconscious mind. The universe does not respond to empty words. It responds to the energy behind those words. When you place a note under your pillow that says, money flows to me easily, you are not performing a ritual. You are invoking a vibration. The note is only a symbol, but the feeling you breathe into it is the living force that commands reality to align with it. Every creation begins in the invisible realm of emotion. You may imagine yourself wealthy, surrounded by abundance, free from worry. But if deep down you feel fear, doubt, or lack, those emotions will override your vision. The subconscious does not act on what you say, it acts on what you feel to be true. That is why many people affirm prosperity and yet continue to experience struggle. Their words say, I am rich, but their inner state whispers, I am still lacking. To transform your outer world, you must marry your desire with the feeling of its fulfillment. You must feel it so vividly that your mind cannot tell whether it is imagined or real. Feeling is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the magnet that pulls unseen possibilities into tangible experience. When you close your eyes and imagine holding the wealth you desire, you must go beyond the picture. You must feel the relief, the joy, the gratitude, the expansion that such wealth brings. That feeling is the signal you send to the universe. It is your frequency, your broadcast, your prayer without words. The law of life is simple: whatever you feel deeply, you become. When you place that note under your pillow, do not do it mechanically. Do it with presence. Hold it in your hand and infuse it with the energy of already having what you seek. Imagine the sensation of waking up to financial freedom, the ease of paying every bill effortlessly, the peace that comes with security, the thrill of generosity when you can give freely without fear of lack. Feel that warmth spread through your body, that lightness in your chest, that quiet confidence that says, this is who I am now. The note then becomes a living seed vibrating with your emotion. When you rest your head on that pillow, your subconscious takes over and begins to shape reality according to that vibration. Understand this truth: emotion is energy in motion. When your feeling aligns with your desire, that energy begins to move outward, attracting people, ideas, and opportunities that match your state. But if your feelings are tangled with doubt, guilt, or fear, that same energy becomes scattered and manifestation slows. The key is consistency of emotion. You cannot plant a seed one night and dig it up the next morning to check if it's growing. You must nurture it in faith, watering it daily with feeling, trust, and gratitude. The stronger your emotional conviction, the faster your invisible desire takes physical form. Your heart is a far greater magnet than your mind. The mind may reason, but the heart feels, and feeling is creation. Think of the times in your life when something you truly desired came to pass. Perhaps you were certain about it, not because of logic, but because you felt it so strongly that there was no room for doubt. That conviction created a vibration that reality had no choice but to obey. Likewise, when you feel wealth, not wish for it, not chase it, but feel it, life rearranges itself to mirror that feeling. Money begins to appear in unexpected ways. Doors open, ideas flow, people show up at the right time. All of it happens because your inner feeling has declared a new frequency. Many people ask, how do I feel it if I don't see it yet? The answer is simple but profound. You must feel it as if it were already done. Pretend if you must, but do it sincerely. Imagination is not pretending in the childish sense. It is rehearsing the reality you wish to live. When you lie down at night, hold the feeling of having rather than wanting. Wanting declares lack, having declares fulfillment. As you drift into sleep, let your last thought be one of gratitude, as if your desire has already manifested. Gratitude is the purest emotion of all because it assumes completion. When you wake up, carry that same feeling into your day. Let it color your actions, your words, your posture. Walk with quiet assurance. Spend as though you are guided by infinite supply. Speak as one who is already blessed. The feeling must become your dwelling place, not a fleeting moment. You are not trying to get money. You are becoming the person for whom money naturally flows. You are shifting from a state of lack to a state of sufficiency, from asking to receiving. Remember this eternal law. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you feel. The feeling of wealth is wealth in seed form. The feeling of abundance is abundance waiting to bloom. The note under your pillow is just a reminder of your new inner vibration, a silent witness to your emotional declaration. I am already rich. When you live from that feeling, you stop chasing and start allowing. You no longer worry about how it will happen, because you know it already has, in the unseen, where all creation begins. So tonight, as you write your note, breathe life into it with your feeling. Do not beg the universe, thank it. Do not hope for tomorrow, feel fulfilled today. As you lay your head down, feel that the world has already changed in your favor. And when you wake, know that it has, because feeling is the currency of creation. When you master your emotion, you master your reality. When you feel rich, you become rich. The universe is simply echoing your vibration, returning to you the exact frequency you send out. The note under your pillow is not magic, you are. The feeling you cultivate is the force that turns imagination into income, dreams into dollars, and the unseen into the undeniable. Sleep is the gateway to the infinite. There is a sacred moment every night when the noise of the world fades, when thoughts begin to soften, and when your conscious mind gently steps aside. This is the doorway to the infinite. Sleep is not simply rest for the body, it is creation for the soul. It is the mysterious passage between what you have imagined and what you are about to live. Every night, as you drift into the silence of sleep, you are entering the most creative state of consciousness known to humankind. In that delicate twilight between waking and dreaming, your subconscious mind becomes fully open, receptive, and obedient. It listens, it absorbs, it records. Whatever idea you feed it in that sacred moment becomes the blueprint for tomorrow's reality. And this is why the simple act of placing a note under your pillow can become a bridge between imagination and manifestation, not because of superstition, but because of spiritual law. Before you sleep, your conscious mind still holds the steering wheel. It decides what direction your subconscious will take once you drift off. Most people, unaware of this, fall asleep rehearsing worries, debts, fears, and failures. They let their final thoughts be of what they don't want, and so they wake up to more of the same. But when you use that pre-sleep moment deliberately, when you replace worry with faith and fear with fulfillment, you plant divine seeds in the fertile soil of the subconscious. The note under your pillow is a simple reminder to redirect your attention to what you desire before you surrender to sleep. It's not about the paper itself. It's about what it represents, your last conscious thought, your final emotional vibration before drifting into the infinite field of creation. As your body relaxes and your breath deepens, the conscious mind loosens its grip. You begin to cross the threshold where imagination becomes reality. This is the borderland where ideas are no longer limited by logic. Here you are not bound by circumstance, by what you see in your bank account, or by the opinions of the world. Here everything is possible. The universe listens to your emotional tone, not your words. If you fall asleep in the feeling of abundance, that vibration is impressed upon the subconscious. And because the subconscious never questions, it only obeys. It accepts that feeling as fact and begins to reproduce it in your waking world. You are literally programming your next day, your next opportunity, your next financial breakthrough, through the feeling you carry into sleep. So imagine the power of this nightly ritual. You write a short, powerful affirmation. I am wealthy beyond measure. or money flows to me freely and easily. You read it slowly, letting the words sink into your heart. You feel the emotion as if it were already true. You smile, not because you are pretending, but because something within you knows it is true. Then you place that note under your pillow, close your eyes, and drift into sleep holding the mood of accomplishment. You are not hoping, you are resting in the certainty that what you desire has already been created in the invisible. That is how the infinite works. Sleep is a mystical rehearsal for death and rebirth. Each night you die to the old version of yourself, to your limitations, your doubts, your fears. And each morning you are resurrected into a new state of being. The thoughts and feelings you carry into sleep decide which version of you will awaken. If you fall asleep poor in consciousness, you will wake poor in reality. But if you fall asleep rich in imagination, rich in gratitude, peace, and expectation, you will awaken to the world that matches that inner richness. The night does not simply end the day, it gives birth to a new one. Your pillow becomes the altar of transformation. The note beneath it is your written prayer, your silent decree to the universe. When you rest your head upon it, you are symbolically laying your worries to rest and surrendering them to divine intelligence. The stillness of sleep allows your higher self to go to work. Ideas will form, intuition will whisper, unseen forces will align. Money and opportunities that seemed far away begin to draw closer, because you have entered alignment with abundance at the deepest level of your being. The creative power within you never sleeps. It is always listening. Most people underestimate the value of this nightly window. They fill their minds with the chaos of the day, scrolling through problems, reviewing mistakes, or rehearsing anxiety, and then wonder why the morning greets them with the same vibration. But the wise creator uses the edge of sleep as sacred ground. You do not need long rituals, only awareness. As you feel yourself drifting, gently replace every thought of I need with I have. Feel that your desires are already fulfilled. Feel the relief and gratitude of completion. Let that feeling carry you into the infinite. When you wake in the morning, you may not see a dramatic change right away, but something invisible has shifted. You have sown the seed, and every time you repeat the ritual, every night you consciously plant a new feeling before sleep, the roots grow deeper, and the results become stronger. You begin to notice synchronicities, a message, an opportunity, a person showing up at just the right moment. These are not coincidences, they are reflections of the vibration you fell asleep in. You are always creating, whether consciously or not. Sleep simply magnifies what you believe. Understand this truth, there is no gap between imagination and manifestation except belief. The subconscious does not care whether you imagine truth or fiction. It simply brings to life what you believe to be real. So when you use sleep consciously, you are stepping into the workshop of creation itself. You are handing your blueprint to the infinite architect. You are saying, this is who I am now, and the universe must echo it back. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, slow down. Dim the lights, quiet your mind, and take your note. Read it softly, feel it deeply. Place it under your pillow, not as a wish, but as a declaration. Whisper to yourself, it is done. Then let go, do not struggle, do not doubt. Drift into the silence and let the infinite do the rest. When morning light touches your face, rise with gratitude. Know that unseen hands have already begun shaping your reality in your favor. Sleep, my friend, is not the absence of consciousness. It is the gateway to creation. And when you enter it with intention, faith, and feeling, you will indeed wake up. Not just to a new day, but to a new world, one where money, ease, and abundance flow to you as naturally as breath. Assume the state, and the state will assume you. Every transformation begins with a single shift, the shift in consciousness. The outer world does not change first, the inner world does. You cannot wait for wealth to appear before you feel wealthy, for that is to live in the illusion that effects create causes. In truth, causes are invisible. They exist in the state you occupy, the mood you maintain, the identity you silently wear. You are always living in some state of consciousness, the state of lack or the state of abundance, the state of struggle or the state of ease. Life, impartial and obedient, simply mirrors the state you persist in. To assume the state you desire is to claim your place in a new reality before the evidence of it appears. When you do this sincerely, reality bends to match your assumption, because the universe cannot contradict the vibration you consistently embody. To assume the state means to enter emotionally and imaginatively into the feeling of already being what you desire to be. If your goal is financial freedom, you do not chase it. You become the person who already possesses it. You think, feel, and act from that state, not toward it. There is a vast difference between striving for wealth and assuming wealth. Striving implies distance. I am not there yet. Assumption implies completion. I already am. The first creates endless effort, the second creates effortless alignment. The simple act of placing a note under your pillow, whispering, "I am wealthy," and sleeping in that awareness is a ritual of assumption. It declares to your subconscious that this is who you now are. You are not asking, you are announcing. You are not hoping, you are possessing. Everything you experience in life is molded by the state you occupy. If you assume the state of being broke, life must provide circumstances to validate that assumption. Unexpected bills, delays, closed doors. But if you assume the state of wealth, life reshapes itself to reflect prosperity. Ideas, solutions, opportunities, and synchronicities begin to appear. The state itself carries its own set of experiences. You cannot fake it with words alone. It must be felt. The mind might say, "I want money," but the state says, "I already have it." That feeling of havingness is the creative signal. It is what tells the universe that you are ready to receive. Assumption is not fantasy. It is faith in motion. It is the spiritual law that what you inwardly accept as true must outwardly express. When you assume a new identity, you no longer look for evidence. You expect it. The difference between desire and assumption is night and day. Desire keeps you waiting, assumption brings it home. Think of a seed. It contains within itself the full pattern of the tree. When you plant it, you do not doubt its growth. You assume that it will sprout, that nature will do its part. The same is true for your mental states. Once you assume wealth, you can rest. You no longer dig up the seed with worry or impatience. You live from the end, knowing it is already done in the unseen. This is why assumption is the secret power behind every manifestation. When you consistently assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, that feeling becomes dominant, and life has no choice but to reflect it. You cannot be both poor in consciousness and rich in experience. One must give way to the other. The note under your pillow is a simple but profound tool for assumption. It anchors your awareness. It says, "Tonight, I will not fall asleep as the person who is waiting for money. I will fall asleep as the one who already has it." And as you rest in that vibration, your subconscious, which creates according to feeling, receives the message and begins to weave reality around it. Assumption requires inner discipline, but not force. It is not about pretending or denying reality. It is about choosing which reality you wish to sustain. Every day you move through countless states, confident, fearful, abundant, insecure. Each has its own frequency and outcomes. The key is to notice when you drift into the state of lack and gently return to the state of abundance. You do this not through logic, but through feeling. Close your eyes and imagine the relief, the joy, the gratitude of already having everything you need. Let that feeling take root, and it will draw to you all that belongs to it. Your state of being is your prayer. Every time you assume a feeling, you are making a declaration to the universe. It does not matter what words you speak if the feeling behind them contradicts the desire. Saying, "I am wealthy," while feeling poor is like planting seeds in dry soil. But when your words and feelings unite, creation becomes inevitable. That is why assumption is more powerful than affirmation. It fuses thought and emotion into a living conviction. You cannot outwork a deep assumption. You can only outgrow an old one. Assuming wealth is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is understanding that abundance is your natural state. You do not have to earn it. You simply have to remember it. The divine within you knows no lack, no limitation. When you assume abundance, you are not creating something new. You are revealing what has always been true about you. You are shifting your awareness from separation to wholeness, from striving to receiving. The outer world then reorganizes itself around this new self concept. People call it luck, coincidence, or miracle, but it is none of these. It is law. So tonight, when you place your note under your pillow, make it an act of identity. Do not approach it as a ritual of hope, but as a declaration of truth. Feel the reality of your new state so deeply that it becomes second nature. As you drift into sleep, let every breath affirm it is done. I am that which I have desired to be. In the morning, rise and act from that knowing. Walk, speak, and think as the one who already has. You will notice life responding differently, money arriving easily, ideas flowing naturally, people appearing helpfully. That is the power of assumption at work. Remember, reality is not fixed, it is fluid, obedient, and responsive. You do not have to wait for the world to change, you have to change the state through which you view the world. Assume the state, and the state will assume you. The outer will always bow to the inner. Once you master this truth, you will no longer chase abundance, you will embody it. You will realize that wealth was never something to attain, it was something to remember. And from that remembrance, your life becomes the effortless expression of a simple truth. What you assume within, you inevitably become without. The power is not in the ritual, but in the awareness. There is a beautiful mystery hidden in every spiritual practice, every ritual, every symbol, And it is this the true power never resides in the object or the action itself, but in the awareness behind it. The act of placing a note under your pillow is not magical because of the note, nor because of the pillow, nor even because of the words you write. It is powerful because of what it awakens within you. It stirs remembrance. It directs your focus away from the noise of the outer world and back to the stillness of your inner authority, the creative center of your being. The note is a tool, but you are the power. The awareness that uses the symbol consciously gives it meaning, energy, and effectiveness. Without awareness, a ritual is empty motion. With awareness, it becomes an instrument of creation. Human beings have always used symbols, candles, affirmations, prayers, vision boards, sacred gestures, not because these items contain supernatural energy, but because they help us center our consciousness in the invisible power within. The note under your pillow is a reminder to remember. It reminds you that reality responds to your state of consciousness, not to your desperate actions. When you place that note with genuine awareness, when you know that this act is a declaration of faith, not superstition, you activate the creative law that governs all manifestation. You are not trying to force the universe, you are aligning with it. Awareness is alignment. Most people live in forgetfulness. They perform spiritual rituals as if the ritual itself is a wish-granting machine. They repeat affirmations while still feeling unworthy. They visualize while still doubting. They pray while still fearing lack. They perform the act but miss the awareness, and so they see no result. But the moment you become conscious of what you are truly doing, the energy changes. You are no longer acting out of fear or need. You are acting out of knowing. You are no longer hoping the universe will respond. You are aware that it already has. Awareness is the bridge between imagination and reality. The awakened mind understands that symbols are not causes. They are mirrors. They reflect back the state of being you bring to them. So when you write your note that says, "Money flows to me easily and constantly," and place it beneath your pillow, do not look at it as a charm or a trick. See it as a sacred appointment with your own power. Feel the truth of those words as you write them. Let your awareness rest on their reality. You are not asking money to come. You are acknowledging that it already exists in your field, waiting to express itself through channels you may not yet see. The note resting under your pillow is simply a silent witness to your awareness, a gentle reminder throughout the night that you have shifted into the consciousness of abundance. Awareness transforms ordinary actions into sacred ones. Washing your hands can become a ritual of cleansing energy if you do it consciously. Breathing can become a prayer if you do it with awareness. Likewise, placing a note under your pillow becomes a gateway to wealth when you do it with full attention and faith. What matters is not what you do, but how you know while doing it. The entire universe is an extension of your awareness. Everything that happens in your world is your consciousness pushed out into form. When you awaken to this truth, you realize that the note, the words, and even the money are just reflections of one thing: your inner state. You could throw away every ritual, every tool, and still manifest abundance effortlessly if you remain deeply aware of your creative power. Yet for most of us, symbols help us focus our energy. They are training wheels for consciousness, helpful guides that direct our scattered attention toward the inner truth. The note under the pillow is one such guide. But it is not the source of magic. You are. The act works because it anchors your mind in belief, quiets the noise of doubt, and gives you a physical representation of your intention. Awareness makes it alive. When you rest your head upon your pillow at night, do it with quiet confidence. Know that your note is beneath you, not as a request, but as a reminder that the creative law is already in motion. You do not need to wake up and check if it worked. It always works because the law of consciousness never fails. You simply need to stay aware, aware of your inner dialogues, aware of your emotions, aware of the subtle pull of old beliefs. Every time you drift back into worry or doubt, gently bring your awareness back to truth. I am the source of my abundance. Nothing outside me holds the power. When you live with this awareness, life begins to mirror it. You notice how quickly opportunities align, how effortlessly money finds its way to you, how easily problems dissolve. You realize that manifestation was never about performing. It was always about remembering. Awareness reconnects you with the creative intelligence that lives within. Once you awaken to this, even the smallest act becomes a tool of transformation. A simple note becomes an affirmation of divine order. A pillow becomes an altar. Sleep becomes sacred communion with the infinite. Awareness also frees you from fear. When you are aware of who you are, the consciousness that shapes reality, you no longer fear circumstances. You stop chasing results and start embodying them. You no longer beg for abundance, you radiate it. You stop searching for external validation because you know everything begins and ends within you. That is the real meaning behind place this note under your pillow. It is not about the paper. It is about the consciousness that places it there. So tonight, as you write your note and prepare for rest, take a deep breath and enter stillness. Feel your heart beating. That is life, that is power, that is infinite energy moving through you. Write your desire in words that resonate with truth. Fold the note gently and place it beneath your pillow with reverence. Then let go. Know that the note is merely a reflection of the consciousness you are choosing to embody. The moment you choose awareness, the moment you know that you are the source, creation begins. The world is your mirror, and awareness is your reflection. Everything you hold in consciousness becomes your experience. The power has never been in the ritual, never in the symbols, never in the techniques. It has always been in you. The note under your pillow, the money in your dreams, the abundance in your reality, all of it flows from the same eternal source, your awakened awareness. When you understand this, every act becomes divine, every night becomes sacred, and every morning becomes a testimony to your creative power.